Okay, so this is going to be my first shot at ever repotting a bonsai, which I managed to keep alive for, I don't know, maybe like 2 years now. Every other one I ever had died promptly. I'm starting to think, oh, I hope this is doing well, and I don't want to kill it. It seems to be a little loose in the base here, which is not overly encouraging to me as I begin this. I don't think there are any wires holding it in. I don't want to just pull it out of the pot either. So I'm going to try to loosen the edges with this and not destroy my plant at the same time. I haven't had really a lot of luck. I watched a couple of videos that seem to be pretty good. It looks like the soil's breaking up pretty well. It doesn't look like bonsai soil. What did they plant this in? This is what you get for getting plants at nurseries. There's a lot of, so the roots on the top are all dead as far as I can tell. They're just falling off in clumps. I don't think this is going to work out so well. I want to be positive about this. I really do. Alright, so it's not, my lord, this is not what I would call a prosperous root base at all. Somehow this thing has been alive for I guess the better part of, what should we say, 2 years. You can look there. There's really, there's a handful of roots here, just a tiny little handful of roots. So I don't, it's green, so I think it's alive. I guess I'm just gonna do this. Do anything. I don't know what they did at the nursery that I got this from. I'm probably gonna have to try to do this again with another bonsai one day. And we'll try. I mean, I guess we'll just try. What's the worst that could happen is it's going to die. They did say to use some wire to secure the plant. So I'm going to cut some wire here. I mean, we're going to try to do this right to the best of our ability. What I'm trying to do here is just get the wire in there so that the screens stay where they're supposed to be. Said to try to center it in the pot. I think that's roughly about where I want it. I'm just going to go by eye here because I'm not really feeling like this is a science at the moment. I'm feeling more like, I guess, where's the front of the pot going to be? I hope these tiny little roots start to grow. I'm going to fill the soil in. On the upside, we didn't have to cut any roots. I feel like bonsai masters are going to watch this and not really have anything good to say about this other than the fact that this is what happens to people who try to get into bonsai without the proper training. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that the little tree lives. That's what we want. I'm pretty certain at this point that this may not actually be a bonsai. You know, they did say you have to pat the soil down with something. I have this tiny little rock here, so I guess that'll work. We're pretty well centered in the pot for the most part here. It's not the end of the world. It could be a little bit that way. It's a little off, but it's not. Honestly, I think I just pat it down with my hands. They have these like fancy little tools and kits that cost, I mean, ridiculous amounts of money. I didn't invest in that yet because I was fairly certain that this was not going to be a wondrous experience for me with a thriving root base. Unfortunately, we did confirm that there was no root base. This soil is just dirt. It's not even bonsai soil. I didn't know because it was covered in rocks. It looks like the nursery just basically took planting soil that they had and grafted 2 branches into some sort of a ginseng root, which I'm guessing is a very easy thing to do because I would imagine that this plant, obviously it's still alive, so it must be a very durable plant. I feel like if I planted this thing in my garden outside, that it would probably turn into a big tree at this point. Because anything that could survive me for a year is pretty impressive. They did say you could use a brush to clean off the base of the tree a little bit, so I got a little toothbrush here, and I probably should have done this first, but this is, shall we say, my first trip to the rodeo. So I mean, that's kind of a really cool looking root though. That is a real root that, I'm actually thinking that I should brush all the dirt off of this so that, to try to avoid further mistakes. I mean, I'm gonna try to correct this. I think the plant's gonna live, and I think there's hope here. So let's just try. Let's just try. Because from what I can tell, I mean, the soil that was on this tree, I'm being very gentle. There's a lot of fine roots here, very fine. And I'm thinking part of the reason, all those little baby roots, if you look at this, there's a really nice root there, and it's alive, and it's well, and it's strong, and I don't know, maybe we'll have a chance here. But I think that part of the reason all those little roots that formed were dying is because it wasn't bonsai soil, and we were basically living in mud. I was letting it dry out and watering it occasionally, watching it, the top, the way they tell you to. But what I'm learning here is that if you get your bonsai in a nursery, say from someone that's not a bonsai, or you get one of these, I don't remember this thing, this little guy cost me, I don't know, maybe 20 bucks, 25 bucks. It wasn't anything crazy, but I would imagine that from what I'm seeing here, they're probably doing the same thing they did with me, where you're going to get a plant that, I mean, it's a plant, right, at the end of the day, so let's just make a little hole here for it. Again, we're centered in the pot. I think pretty good. I mean, close enough for government work. I'm happy with that. I'm not even afraid to move it around a little bit at this point, because I think I have what I would consider to be an extremely durable living thing in my hands that does not want to die. This is a resilient plant. It's packed down, the soil's packed down. Gotta straighten it out, it's a little crooked. Keep you going, buddy. Hopefully you'll still be alive in a few years. I would say at this point, I'm probably not gonna have to repot this thing again for, I don't know, if I was gonna take a guess, I'd say something like, they were saying every 3 years, 3 to 5 years. At this point, with the extreme lack of a root base that I discovered here, and the fact that there was not any bonsai soil used, I don't even know if this soil is good. I saw some really cool videos about different soils you could use and mixes, and I'd really like to get more into bonsai and have a real bonsai tree and keep it alive. I'm grooming something I'll show you in a second before we end everything. I have a little one that I was grooming. I found a small tree growing in my yard. Oh, I'm gonna pack it down. Feels good. I don't think there's any air bubbles. The bonsai guys said to do this, which again, I'm thinking it's a waste of wire at this point, because after everything I've discovered, I mean, I don't really imagine this being too necessary, but we're gonna do it. They said to do it, and if it does root and grow, which I hope it will, I mean, at the end of the day, this little guy could be alive when I'm dead. And I imagine it's extremely possible, because I haven't killed it yet, so I'm assuming that it's going to live a nice, long, happy little life. So I twisted the wire together. I'm going to cut it. Okay. Put that on the side. Tuck it down under the soil. Continue to pat it down. It's very cute, though. I shaped some of the branches and stuff to kind of make it rounder. I think the bonsai guys are just gonna laugh at me. I'm kind of laughing at myself right now, because this is a nightmare. It's an absolute horror show. But I have these little stones, so I'm gonna use them. What I did read somewhere is that don't fertilize your bonsai after repotting it, because you'll damage the roots. All 6 of them on this little puppy. Oh, it's gonna look pretty though. It'll look pretty, it's gonna look professional. Put the leftovers in my garden, I think. I mean, I could probably sell this thing at one of those nurseries now, and people would think they were getting like the most beautiful looking little bonsai tree in the world. Well, not the most beautiful, but you know. Should I put it up for sale on eBay for a few bucks and see what happens, see if there's any takers? I'd say we repotted it. I have to water it now. I have to show you, this is just disgusting to me. I don't even know how they sold this to me like that. It's literally dirt for growing tomatoes. I'm realizing the other problem is that this bonsai soil I got from the same place I got the plant, because we go shopping every Halloween for pumpkins at the place. But I did get this cute little stone, which I kind of feel like doesn't go with this, because there's all these beautiful stones here. I think we're gonna get rid of this. Yeah, we're gonna put that in the garden, and there's my repotted bonsai and my endless optimism that it will grow to be a beautiful tree one day. And let me show you the other tree. I'm going to make another video in the spring. I found this little tree growing in my yard, and I wasn't sure how to turn it into a bonsai, so I planted it in my garden here. Well, not really garden, but see that? And I started shaping it. It's a little dark. I'm kind of trimming it, and there's a better view of it. Hey, this is my little pug over here. He's hanging out. So this is my tiny tree that I started. And what I'm going to do in the spring when the weather's nicer is I'm going to dig it up. I'm going to put it in a pot. And I'm going to water it a lot to try to get like a really solid root base. And then I'm going to take it out of the pot and cut the roots and make one of those and hope that it lives. And it's welcome to Bonsai with Sean. Peace. Welcome to Butcher a Bonsai with Sean.